Instructions are simple. We're going to create a 3-minute long podcast episode that's going to speak about a local hidden gem in your neighborhood. We're going to dress that up with music and sound effects and then create a link that you can share with me. Share that with me and I'll come bearing gifts. All right, let's do it. Press quick start and that will pull up the Wondercraft audio studio. To create my script, I can either type it in here directly or generate it using the Wondercraft script assistant. You can prompt this in the same way that you would prompt something like ChatGPT, but we also have a library of prompts available that we found very effective. And given that we're speaking about podcasts now, we're the podcast category. And for this case, we'll use one of these prompts to help us in crafting our script. So let's go ahead and press use prompt. Here's what the prompt looks like, and anything that is indicated with purple is a variable that we're asked to switch. So let's go ahead and replace these variables with what works for us. And in my case, I'll be speaking about my favorite neighborhood in London called Notting Hill. And specifically, I'll be speaking about an alley that not many people know that is part of the Love Actually movie. So let's go ahead and replace these variables. So for podcast name, I'll rename this to Notting Hill Treasures. And instead of 4 minutes long, 3 minutes long. And I'll replace the topic and attachment with just a little bit of a description here about what I'm after. And now that I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and generate my script. All right, so we got the full script ready now, and what we can do is press generate on each clip, or just press generate all in the end, so that we can take a listen and see if we're happy with the voices that were auto-assigned here. Let's check it out.
So, I got something super cool for you today, Adrian. I was walking around Notting Hill the other day, and I came across this really amazing street called St. Luke's Mews. Have you been there?
Oh my goodness, St. Luke's Mews is absolutely one of my...
All right, looks good. I'm happy with both voices, so we're going to proceed to the next step now. Just highlighting, if you were not happy with the voices, you can always just press either on the voice and change voice, or you can always just press voice from the voice panel here, and it's going to pull up all of the voices. Feel free to filter or play around to find the voice that really works for you. And remember, every time you change the voice or you change the text, feel free to press generate so that the clip gets generated at the bottom. When you're happy with the voices, just press generate all so that it can go ahead and run all of these clips. And we can see that all of our speech clips are now generated. One final point about voices, you can always add your own voice, but maybe that's something for next time. All right, you know what would be cool? To add some music now to play as background in podcast. So let's try that out. Let's go to music. To find the right music, we can just listen to a couple of clips, or we can always filter for what we're after. I kind of like the vibe of this song for our podcast. So I'll go ahead and press plus to add it to our timeline. You can see that it was added right where the cursor is, but I actually want to move it to the beginning. So I'm going to select it and move it to the beginning. And the other thing that I want to do is I want to have just music playing in the beginning. So I'm going to move all of these clips by selecting all of them and moving them maybe to 5-6 seconds in. And then see what I can do with my music. At the moment, the music is quite loud, starting with a bit of a fade, but what we want to do is we want to start it to be loud, and then when the speech comes in, we want to fade it out. We're going to select the music and then press on volume. And now we're going to remove all of the fade in. 50% of volume is good. In order for it to fade out when the speech comes in, what we're going to do is we're going to clip it by pressing split. We're going to clip it right at this point, and then we're going to select only the smaller part and fade it out. So let's go ahead and do that again. And fade out over maybe 2 seconds. And then we want the next part to actually start at a very low level so that it can fade in correctly. So let's go to volume, and we want that to be about 5%. We don't particularly care about the fade out in this one, so let's check out what we managed to do.
So, I got something super cool for you today, Adrian.
All right, the music looks good. We can move on. So this is completely optional, but you can also go to sound effects and you can search for something that's relevant to your podcast. And if we don't have that available, you can always just generate your own sound effect on the spot using AI. We're going to skip this part, so we're going to wrap the production here. And I'm going to ask you to create something very similar to this about your local hidden gem. And when you're done, just copy the URL that you see at the top, respond to the email you received, and as I said, I come bearing gifts. See you on the other side.